Some videos are disturbing because they capture a terrifying moment. Others are disturbing because they leave behind questions no one can answer. In this video, a phone found in a taxi exposes a hidden massacre at sea. A camera discovered deep in the woods may be connected to a missing man. And a dashcam records the horrifying moments before an ordinary morning at a bus stop turns fatal.
Jesus, I'm descendant of God, and you love me up! Watch this!
These are some of the most disturbing real found footage cases ever caught on camera. Let's dive straight into the first clip. On the morning of Good Friday, April 19th, 2019, 87-year-old Terry Radford was waiting near a bus stop on Worcester Avenue in Mansfield Woodhouse. He had no way of knowing that only minutes away, a stolen car was tearing through nearby residential streets, driven by a man in the middle of a psychotic episode.
I'm Jesus! I'm descendant of God, and you love me up! Watch this! You think I'm strong? Wait until you minimize.
Terry was a retired teacher who had spent years caring for his wife as she suffered through severe dementia. She had passed away 7 months earlier, and after putting much of his own life on hold, Terry was finally beginning to look ahead again. He had 3 foreign holidays planned for later that year, but before he could take any of them, a stolen car turned onto Worcester Avenue. As the vehicle approached the bus stop, the driver noticed Terry standing there. Instead of continuing down the road, he shifted into reverse and accelerated toward the pavement. The car mounted the curb and crushed Terry against the bus shelter with fatal force. The driver stepped out immediately and shouted that he had killed the devil. He was later identified as 38-year-old Gavin Collins. Less than 24 hours earlier, Collins had been released from prison with an electronic tag under the home detention curfew scheme, which allows certain inmates to serve the remainder of their sentence at home. But when a friend collected him from the prison gate, something about his behavior already seemed wrong. He was speaking strangely and acting as if he was under the influence of something. By the next morning, that behavior had escalated. Collins entered a neighbor's house, threw prescription medication onto the floor, and began unplugging electrical items, claiming they were connected to the devil. He then went into another neighbor's house, stole car keys, and drove off. That was the beginning of a 30-minute rampage that would later be pieced together through dashcam footage recovered from the vehicles involved. The footage showed Collins driving recklessly through residential streets, cutting through traffic at high speed, screaming, and appearing to believe he was a divine figure. At one point, he ripped off the rearview mirror and kept driving.
God, and you love me up! Watch this! You think I'm strong? Wait until you minimize of him, because ultimately he'll give her an ultimatum: either listen to Gavin, Mum, or you're gonna go to hell. He'll disown you, and so will I, but it's now grandma's.
When he reached Skegby, Nottinghamshire, he lost control and crashed into a house. The homeowner, who had been standing in the front garden, had to jump out of the way to avoid being hit. But even that crash did not stop Collins. He climbed out of the wreckage and demanded the owner's car keys while threatening him. When the homeowner refused, Collins moved toward a woman who had stopped nearby to see if anyone needed help. He forced his way into her car, drove a short distance, threw her out, and continued toward Mansfield Woodhouse. That was the second car he stole that morning, and he crashed that one too. But even after 2 crashes, Collins kept going. He broke into another home where a mother and her 2 children were having breakfast. Injured and bleeding from the wrecks, he drew crosses on their foreheads with his own blood, then threatened the children's lives unless the mother handed over her car keys. That was the 3rd car he stole, and it was the one he used to kill Terry Radford. By the time police arrived near Worcester Avenue, Terry had already been struck, and Collins was still trying to escape. Officers eventually stopped him, used a taser, and arrested him. The entire rampage had lasted around 30 minutes, but the damage left behind was permanent. 9 months later, Collins was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to life in prison. During the trial, he claimed he could not remember what he had done that day. He also told the jury he had spent most of his adult life in prison and had heard voices since childhood. But investigators later found that while he was still in prison, Collins had already been considered a risk of harm to others. He had been held in segregation, had set fire to his cell twice, and had attacked a staff member with a plastic knife. Those incidents should have blocked his early release, but they were overlooked. And that is what makes this case so disturbing. The dashcam footage did not just capture a stolen car or a reckless driver. It captured the final moments of a system failure, one that allowed a dangerous man back into the public less than a day before Terry Radford was killed while simply waiting for a bus. But if that was disturbing, this next one is even harder to explain. This footage was allegedly discovered earlier this year on a camera found deep in the woods. According to the person who found it, the camera was discovered near the village of Pădureni, close to the city of Brasov, Romania. It did not look ancient, but it had clearly been lying there for quite some time. The person who found it believed the location shown in the video was an old forester's cabin, the kind of isolated rural home where workers may have once lived with their families. What made the discovery even more unsettling was the story attached to it. The finder claimed the footage showed a young man who had since gone missing, and that no one knew what had happened to him. They said they had turned the footage over to authorities, but never learned what came of the investigation. Still, they kept a copy on their laptop and later shared it online. The video itself was recorded at night using infrared. For reasons that are never explained, the man behind the camera approaches a small rural home deep in the forest. The front door is locked, but instead of leaving, he circles around the property until he finds a slightly open window in the back. Then he climbs inside. At first, the footage feels like a reckless break-in more than anything supernatural. He moves through the dark rooms, filming whatever he can see, as if trying to explore a place he knows he should not be in. But then the situation changes completely. A light appears outside. Someone is approaching the house. And moments later, the person outside begins unlocking the front door. It is likely the person entering was a forester, a current resident, or someone connected to the cabin. Maybe they were nearby and noticed a light moving inside. Maybe someone had alerted them. Either way, the man filming instantly realizes how bad the situation has become. He begins to panic and searches for somewhere to hide. Eventually, he crawls under a table in one of the rooms, keeping the camera close as the person enters the house and starts looking around. The entire moment feels tense because he is not being chased by something supernatural. He is hiding from a real person inside a house he was never supposed to enter. For a while, it seems like he might get away unnoticed. He stays silent, barely moving, listening as the person searches nearby. But according to the story attached to the footage, this incident was followed by something even stranger. The man who recorded it allegedly disappeared afterward, and several months later, the same camera was found in the woods near that cabin. Whether the events inside the house were connected to his disappearance is impossible to know. Maybe he ran into someone dangerous. Maybe he left the cabin and something else happened later. Or maybe the story attached to the footage is not entirely what it seems, but that uncertainty is exactly what makes the video unsettling. A camera found in the woods. A man entering a locked rural cabin at night. Someone coming through the front door while he hides under a table. And then, after all of that, no clear answer about what happened to the person filming. But this next recording takes things in a much darker direction. In 2014, an abandoned cell phone was found in the back seat of a taxi in Fiji. When a passenger looked through it to figure out who it belonged to, they found a roughly 10-minute video in the camera roll. The footage was shaky, pixelated, and filmed from the deck of a large fishing vessel somewhere in the open ocean. But what it captured was not a normal day at sea. It was evidence of a massacre that had gone completely unreported for years. The first part of the footage has mostly disappeared from the internet, but from what could be gathered, it showed crew members shouting in multiple languages, while another large vessel and a much smaller boat floated nearby. For a few moments, nothing seemed to happen. Then one of the larger ships suddenly accelerated and rammed the smaller boat, flipping it over and throwing the men on board into the ocean. They were left floating in the water, clinging to debris, with no life jackets and no way to defend themselves. Then a voice from the ship began giving orders in Mandarin. Moments later, gunfire erupted. One by one, the men in the water were shot as they tried to stay afloat. Even when one of them raised his arms as if surrendering, the shooting continued. And when it was over, the camera kept rolling. The crew members on deck could be seen laughing, standing around, and even posing for selfies, as if what had just happened was nothing unusual. The video was eventually uploaded to YouTube, where it circulated for months before anyone understood what they were looking at. One of the people who found it was journalist Ian Urbina, an investigative reporter who later founded the Outlaw Ocean Project, a group focused on crimes and lawlessness at sea. At first, almost nothing about the video was clear. No one knew where it had been filmed, which ship it came from, or who the men in the water were. But after months of investigation, researchers were able to identify the filming vessel as the Pingshin 101, a Taiwanese-flagged fishing ship. That discovery gave investigators their first real lead. Taiwanese officials later claimed the men in the water were Somali pirates who had attacked a fishing fleet and that the shooting was an act of self-defense. At first, that explanation sounded possible. During that time, parts of the Indian Ocean were known for piracy, and fishing vessels often carried armed security. But the footage itself raised serious questions. The men in the water did not appear to have weapons. The small boat did not clearly match the type of vessel pirates were known to use. And years later, 2 Filipino crew members from the Pingshin 101 gave testimony that completely contradicted the official story. According to them, the men had no guns at all, only fishing equipment. Investigators eventually identified the man giving the orders as the ship's captain, a Chinese national named Wang Funyu. According to witnesses, Wang ordered 2 Pakistani security guards aboard the vessel to open fire on the men in the water. By the time the shooting stopped, at least 10 men were dead. But despite the number of people who witnessed it from nearby ships, no one reported it. The bodies were never recovered. The victims were never identified. And for almost 2 years, the massacre remained hidden from the world, until that phone was left behind in a taxi. The case became even darker when investigators learned that this may not have been the only attack. Crew members later claimed that roughly 5 days earlier, Wang and several other vessels had attacked another small boat. The men on board reportedly shouted that they were not Somali pirates, but they were still thrown into the water and shot. Between the 2 attacks, more than 30 people may have been killed. Wong was finally arrested in August 2020, almost 8 years after the killings. But by then, only 4 deaths could be proven in court. After years of appeals, Taiwan's Supreme Court confirmed his 26-year sentence in January 2025. And still, the most haunting part of this case remains unanswered. Who were the men in the water? The official story was that they were pirates, but even Wong's own crew said they were unarmed. Some maritime experts believe they may have been local fishermen confronting foreign vessels that were illegally fishing in Somali waters. If that is true, then the men in this footage were not criminals at all. They may have been people trying to protect the waters they depended on to survive. To this day, no one knows their names. No bodies were ever returned. And somewhere, there may still be families who never found out that their loved ones' final moments were recorded on a phone that ended up forgotten in the backseat of a taxi. Some found footage is disturbing because of what the camera captures. But sometimes, what makes it unsettling is watching someone slowly become consumed by what they believe is happening around them. That is what makes the videos uploaded by Donna Ayers so uncomfortable to watch. According to Donna, strange activity began inside her home after her brother passed away under unclear circumstances in 2009. From that point on, she claimed that objects inside the house started moving on their own, especially whenever she was nearby. Some viewers believed it could have been the spirit of her brother trying to communicate, but Donna herself did not seem comforted by that idea. To her, whatever was inside the house felt darker, heavier, and much more malicious. In one of her videos, Donna notices a chandelier moving by itself.
That's not me, is it, with the camera? Hang on, guys, I'm just going to get a better view because this is amazing. I'm just going to turn the light up a bit as well. If that's you, please move it again. That is moving. Oh my god, that is moving. Oh, thank you.
At first, it is subtle enough that someone could try to explain it away. Maybe air movement, maybe vibration, maybe something in the house shifting. But as she films it, her reaction makes the moment feel more unsettling. She is not laughing it off or treating it like a trick. She sounds genuinely overwhelmed by what she believes she is seeing, and that became the pattern of the channel. Again and again, Donna would record objects moving in ways she could not explain. In another video, she films a metal mug sliding across a dry surface in her kitchen.
As you can see, just so you lot don't think I'm quizzing, I'm not going too close because I get launched at, but there's nothing under there. That's just a bracket from an old drawer that used to be there. There's nothing in the cupboard, it's just cutlery and stuff. Nothing under there apart from pots and pans. There's no magnets. That's just a switch. There's nothing there at all. Nothing out of the ordinary, but yet shit keeps moving. Can you move it again, please? If you're here, move it. Well, it definitely did move, but as it was moving, you see. So, yeah. I'll just show you as well. There's nothing underneath, there's nothing. It's just an old metal cup. Metal. Weird. Oh my gosh. The surface isn't wet or anything, it's all dry. So there's no reason for it to be moving. And it's moving again.
She tries to show underneath it, around it, and behind it, almost as if she already knows people will accuse her of staging it. But even with that, the footage leaves viewers divided. Some were also sure it was paranormal. Others believed there may have been a simple trick, like fishing line, magnets, or camera manipulation. But then there are moments that feel harder to dismiss emotionally. In one video, her dog suddenly reacts to something unseen. Donna begins describing a heavy pressure in the room, like there is something dark standing close to her. Then her necklace appears to move, and the moment completely overwhelms her.
But yeah, that's basically the new tank. I'll just keep it in the background, and then you can see what I mean. But just strange feelings. Almost like you can feel the dark entity that's here, and it's almost like a pressure. I don't know if you can see it. They're certainly acting a bit weird. See, it's so strange. See, I get the feeling there's something here right now. And yet I don't. No one here. Yeah, there's no one around me. Maybe you guys are seeing that. It's bringing tears to my eyes. So no one gets it. My chain's moving on my neck.
Whether someone believes the footage or not, her fear in that moment feels real. That is where this case becomes less about proving whether the videos are paranormal, and more about what the videos show happening to Donna herself. As the uploads continue, she seems more frightened, more focused on the presence she believes is in the house, and more emotionally affected by it. At one point, she even begins using a Ouija board, which only made viewers more concerned. Some people believed she was inviting something in. Others thought grief, fear, and obsession may have been pushing her deeper into a dangerous mental state. And maybe that is what makes the footage so disturbing. Because either way, something was happening inside that house. Maybe it was paranormal. Maybe it was staged. Maybe it was grief and fear slowly taking control of a woman who had already lost someone close to her. But when you watch the videos in sequence, the most unsettling part is not just the moving objects. It is Donna's growing belief that something was there with her, and that whatever it was, it did not want to leave. But the next clip is different. This one does not feel like a mystery. It feels like a warning. This was a little-known YouTuber named Bill Meath, who first appeared on the platform on June 30th, 2014. His channel was not flashy, edited, or designed to go viral. Almost every video was filmed in the same simple way. One static camera, little to no editing, and Bill speaking directly to whoever might be watching. At first, the channel seemed to be focused almost entirely on faith. His videos centered around religious themes, personal reflection, and the way he understood suffering, salvation, and the end of life.
Did it ever dawn on you how much God loves you? Have you stopped to think? God so loved the world he sent his son Jesus.
He spoke about the Bible, church rituals, sin, forgiveness, and the coming end of the world. But as the uploads continued, the channel began to feel less like a normal religious page and more like a deeply personal video diary. What makes this so emotional is that viewers were not watching something sudden. They were watching a man slowly decline in front of the camera. With each new upload, Bill's physical condition appeared to worsen. His face changed. He lost weight. His features became more strained, and his eyes began to look tired in a way that was hard to ignore. After only a few months of uploading, it became clear that something was seriously wrong. In one video, Bill revealed that he had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. What had apparently started as a simple toothache had developed into a tumor. Still, he kept recording. He kept speaking about faith. He kept trying to make sense of his suffering through the beliefs that seemed to matter most to him. As time went on, the swelling on the side of his face became more visible. His voice, his appearance, and the atmosphere of the videos all made the channel feel heavier with every upload. But Bill did not hide from the camera. In some way, the camera seemed to become part of how he faced what was happening to him. His final video was uploaded on October 21st, 2014. It was titled 10-Hour Surgery Tomorrow. There was no spoken narration, just silent footage with text asking viewers to pray for him, for the surgeon, and for the outcome. After that, the channel went silent. No update from Bill. No follow-up from family or friends. No clear explanation of what happened after the surgery. Based on his condition in the final videos, many viewers believed he may not have survived, and the channel slowly became something like a digital memorial. That is what makes Bill Meath's footage so disturbing in a completely different way. There is no monster, no crime scene, and no sudden scare. Instead, the videos capture something much more real. A man documenting his own pain, his faith, and his fear as his body slowly failed him. It is not disturbing because it is violent. It is disturbing because it feels painfully human. A quiet channel, a dying man, one final upload before surgery, and then nothing but silence. Some found footage is disturbing because it captures a crime, an accident, or a final moment no one was supposed to see. But this next case is disturbing in a completely different way, because it feels like watching two ordinary lives slowly fall apart one upload at a time. The channel was called Help with Advice. It only had around 30 videos, but almost every upload seemed to get stranger than the last. At first, the videos were short, low quality, and difficult to understand. But the more people watched, the clearer it became that the man behind the channel seemed to believe something was happening inside his home. The first video was titled, Asleep Then Punched. In it, the uploader claimed that someone had punched him hard in the stomach while he was sleeping.
Motherfuckers. God damn it!
Sean.
They just punched me in my stomach. Fucking bastards.
But according to him, there was no one else in the house except him and his wife.
I find you.
Sean.
That alone would have been strange enough, but after that, the videos only became more unsettling. Soon, the man began claiming that invisible signals were entering their home. He believed those signals were affecting their bodies, damaging their electronics, and slowly destroying their lives. In one description, he even compared it to military technology that he believed had been used during war. From the outside, it is impossible to know exactly what was happening inside that house. But the videos create the feeling of someone trying to document a threat that no one else could see. As the uploads continued, the situation became harder to watch. He claimed his stomach was swelling, even though he said he had barely eaten.
Evidence. Signal. My stomach feels extremely bloated and I've eaten nothing. Drinking very little.
He described pain, strange symptoms, and a belief that the government was targeting them to cover something up. His wife also appeared in some of the videos, looking unwell, struggling to drink water, and visibly deteriorating in the same environment. And that is what makes this case so uncomfortable. It does not feel like a normal scary video. It feels like a private crisis being uploaded piece by piece, as if the camera had become the only way they could prove to the world that something was happening to them. In one clip, he appears to be in severe pain, and the place around him looks dirty and neglected. In another, they filmed an animal in poor condition, claiming that whatever was happening to them had affected it too.
That bee. Yeah. More of the water.
To viewers, the situation raised even more questions. Were they truly being targeted by something as they believed? Were they suffering from a shared delusion? Was there addiction, illness, paranoia, or something else behind it? No one can say for certain. But what is clear is that the videos show a life becoming more and more unstable. The house looks worse. the claims become more extreme. And every upload feels less like entertainment and more like evidence of someone losing touch with reality while desperately trying to make others believe him.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna melt on your tongue. You can't do that. Sean, you gotta get some fluid in it.
In several videos, he says that certain materials could block the signals. In another, he claims his bike broke because of the same invisible force.
This is showing my bike. It's a 1998.
Then, in the final upload, he shows what he calls proof, a nearly new generator that had suddenly stopped working and became heavily rusted.
It's a brand new generator, brand spanking new. It's less than 200 hours on it.
That was the last video ever uploaded to the channel. After that, nothing. No update, no explanation. No final message saying they were okay. Just silence. And that silence is what makes the channel so haunting. Because by the end, the videos no longer feel like someone trying to scare an audience. They feel like a record of two people trapped inside a belief system that was consuming their home, their health, and their sense of reality. Maybe everything they filmed had a simple explanation. Maybe the broken electronics, the pain, the sickness, and the rusted equipment were all unrelated things their minds connected into one terrifying story. Or maybe, to them, the fear was so real that no outside explanation would have mattered anymore. Either way, Help with Advice remains one of those strange corners of YouTube that feels deeply uncomfortable to watch. Not because it shows a monster in the dark, but because it may show something far more real. People spiraling in front of a camera, uploading their fear to the internet, and then disappearing from the channel without another word. That's all for today, folks. If you like to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.